Okay, Shahinda, you wanna I started the thing so people could start joining the
Okay.
webinar. Okay.
So
If you guys, you could turn off your camera if you want because people are joining until Med is ready to start.
got
Okay.
you. Let me turn it off. How do I turn it off?
It's on the bottom left if you say start video from home. And, just dwelling in those feelings are not going to allow us to be able to completely give our all into, the rest of things that are going on in our lives. Sometimes it takes us to consciously stop what we're doing and from having those negative thoughts, just stop thinking about them and getting up and physically moving or doing something else. So if we're watching the news and we find ourselves, getting pulled down into those negative feelings, we have to sometimes really physically get up, stop ourselves from thinking, okay, I'm not going to think about this anymore. I'm going to, think about positive thoughts, things that make me happy. And I'm just going to move on. I'm going to get up and, make myself a meal, or I'm going to take a shower or something different that will get you out of that mood. Because once we, the further we dwell into those feelings, the harder it is for us to be able to come out of them. So I wanted to talk about the situations that we're faced with. This is, so positive mindset is a lifestyle change. It's not something that, it's only going to apply to this situation. It can apply to every situation in our lives. We can choose to be more optimistic. We can choose to shift our mindset. And really, it all depends on how we perceive things. So our perception of everything is what matters. And it's the most powerful weapon we have. Our perception is the most powerful weapon we have, and I can't stress that enough. It's because it has the ability to make us feel weak and vulnerable, or empowered and strong. And when we choose to look for the opportunity in a difficult situation, so I want you to pay attention to that. If we choose to look for an opportunity in a difficult situation and we figure out what we can control, it'll become easier for us to understand and eventually accept whatever is beyond our control. So whatever's not in our hands, whatever we can't change, we'll have an easier time accepting it, understanding it, and accepting it. So instead of focusing on the difficulty, let's focus on the opportunities that we can take that from this situation, from this experience that we're going through. And a lot of people may ask, well, what are the opportunities that can come from this? And we're going to go into that, inshallah, later on. One thing that I wanted to also mention is that if we can start by changing our mindset, by from thinking like the thoughts that are not helpful. So if we can start like training ourselves from now to change this mindset, to not indulge in the feelings or in the thoughts that are not going to serve us at the end, we can really, really change our lives from becoming people who are stuck in stress to people who are growing, or who are able to overcome any situation that we're put in, especially the difficult ones. Eventually we'll end up being a lot happier. So instead of saying things like, I'm sick of being stuck at home, because a lot of people are, we are stuck at home and we're here and there's really not, much that we can do about it. So, we're forced to be in quarantine, we're forced to be stuck at home. So instead of saying something like, I'm sick of being stuck at home, change your mindset. The change of mindset would sound something like, I get to be safe in my home. I get to spend time with my family. I get to spend time by myself. I get to catch up on things that I haven't been able to catch up on before because I finally have time for them. Another one would be, I'm miserable and I miss seeing my friends. I know that a lot of the teens and the youth are going through this. So instead of saying that, we can shift again our mindset to saying something like, connecting with my friends in different ways, or I can learn how to connect with my friends in different ways. And it'll help us get to become closer, or to know each other on a different level. And we'll get to figure out creative ways. Maybe we'll come up with creative ways to get in touch. Maybe sending letters, or talking on FaceTime. Maybe we didn't talk on FaceTime before, but now we're going to start doing that. Or maybe writing each other notes. So it'll give us a different mindset. It changes the way we think. Another one could be Ramadan is going to be terrible this year. So somebody might feel that way. The way to change your mindset from that, or to shift your mindset, would be to say, my family and I are going to get closer, and I will be able to enjoy making tarawih together, or enjoy doing Ramadan activities together. That could be, we'll have more time together this Ramadan. I can't wait for this to be over. So instead of, and I can't wait for this to be over either, but instead of, saying, I can't wait for this to be over, try to think, again, to shift your mindset and to think, I know this will be over soon, but what can I do, or what can I learn from it while it lasts, or while it's here, or while I'm here? Because there is so much that we can learn from with this time that we have off, or this time that we have, not really off because we're probably doing other things, but this time that we have where we're spending more time at home, more time with ourselves. What can we learn about ourselves during this time? So to focus on that. I'm so scared people are dying. Okay, this is another idea. I'm so scared people are dying. The way to shift your mindset for this is, some people are getting sick, but many more people have fully recovered from it and are doing fine and are doing okay. And so to look at the positive in a negative situation. We're stuck in isolation. This is another idea, that we're stuck in isolation. We're here and we're stuck in isolation. Some of the greatest things that have happened in the history of the world had been a result of people who were in isolation. And I'm going to talk about that later on, especially specifically about Islamic history. To think of all the stories of those people in Islam who have been in isolation, and the good that has come from that. So, and lastly, another idea is, I think I stink at this. I'm not going to be okay until this is all over. A way to shift your mindset from that is to think, I'm going to be patient with myself. I'm going to use the skills that I've learned to help me get through this. And so all of our negative thoughts could be changed into positive thoughts if we change our mindset. That's pretty much, and this is where optimism really comes from, is really our shift of mindset and self-care. Okay, so don't over obsess over thoughts. I know that this is to change our mindset, but it's a process. Changing our mindset is a process, and we're not going to wake up tomorrow just, miraculously becoming happier people. This is a process, and it takes time. So I don't want anyone to obsess over the thoughts of wanting to become positive or happy. With some life changes and shift in our mindset, it'll naturally come. And if you keep on thinking, I must become happy, I have to do it today, I have to wake up happy as a happier person tomorrow, you might actually end up feeling worse if it doesn't happen as quickly as you want it or as you expect it to. So be patient with yourself. This is another thing. Accept your feelings. Accept that, this will take time. It's not going to be something that's going to happen miraculously overnight. So some things that we can think about to make us, get into this shifting of mindset, something that can help us, elevate our feelings and help us from feeling so down, are if we every day we take it, we do this as a task every single day, to write down 3 things that you are grateful for. So for example, if you're grateful for, and I'm sure that we have a lot to be grateful for, alhamdulillah, our health, our sight, the sense of smell, our hearing, our friends, our relationship with Allah, being Muslim, our home, the food that we have on our table, anything that we are grateful for. And if we write just only 3 things down, if we can take the time to write only 3 things down a day and think about, what is it that I'm grateful for? You will find that there's so much to be grateful for. And this can go into you, realizing your blessings. And when we realize our blessings, we tend to become happier, because there is so much that Allah has given us already without us even asking for it. And if we also look at the things that, if we write also down the things that bring us happiness. So three things, we're going to write 3 things down that we are grateful for, and 3 things that bring us happiness. And we're going to do this every day. So the 3 things that bring us happiness could be anything. Could be our children, could be our parents, could be our, our computer that we have that we're just really happy to have, or it could be anything. It could be very small, it could be really big, it could be just, waking up another day. Alhamdulillah, I'm grateful and I'm happy that I woke up again today, or I'm happy that my room is a certain color, or it could really be anything. But if we start focusing on the things that make us happy, we start to think happier thoughts because we're already in that mode. And if we do these things when we wake up, like we write down the 3 things that make us, feel grateful, or the 3 things that make us feel happy, we're already setting the tone for that day. So we're already starting our day on a positive note. We're already starting our day on an optimistic note. And if we continue to do that, we're eventually going to find that it happens naturally. We won't have to write it down anymore. You'll just, it'll come to you naturally, and you'll start to think, okay, I'm grateful for this. Oh, this is something that I'm grateful for as well. And it'll just keep on adding up. It could even be the things that bring you happiness could even be completing a task. For example, yesterday I was able to cross 3 things off of my to-do list, and that's something that I'm grateful for and that I'm happy for. So it can be, like I said before, something small or something big, but it all depends on, how you feel about it. As long as it brings you happiness, that's something that you can jot down. What experiences, however small, made you feel good? So I want you also to think about, you don't have to write this down, but maybe in the morning when you do wake up to think, or before you go to sleep, to think about what experiences have made me feel good. What did I go through? What have I experienced? Who have I spoken to? What conversation did I have with that person that made me feel good? Or what did I do for someone that made me feel good? And maybe try to replicate that in your life if you can, so if you were able to help somebody one day, maybe replicate that by helping a friend, or helping a parent, or helping your spouse, or helping your sibling. It doesn't have to be the exact thing, but that feel good feeling could come in different forms in the same action. So if it was something that you did to give, or if it was something that you did to self-care, like the experience of I gave myself a facial and that felt really good, maybe you can do something similar to that would make you bring back that feel good feeling. What praise or feedback did I get? If you're thinking of something like, I've done something good, someone has praised me, my mother or my father or sibling had told me that, I did something really nice for them and they praised me, try to focus on that praise and that feeling, because it will also, elevate your mood. What was the time you felt most proud of yourself? So, thinking about that as well, thinking about the times that, you've achieved something, or you did something good for someone, and you felt really good about yourself, or you really felt proud about yourself. And you can also try to replicate that again, even in isolation, even if you're at home. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, go out and do something. This can be something that you can do from, the own comfort of your home. Maybe giving a donation to a charity. We can do those online with credit cards usually. So if, something like this would make you feel better, maybe that's something that you can, put on your to-do list and scratch it off later on and feel good about it as well. So shifting our mindsets will take us time, and it's really, like I said before, it's a process, but it's a skill that we'll be able to use throughout our life in any situation. And when we overall think more optimistically, we'll become happier people. And above this all, we have to have hope and faith in Allah Azza wa Jal, that there is no benefit that comes, and we have to understand that there is no benefit that comes except that He wills it. I wanted to go into sadness a little bit, because it not only makes every day hard to get through, there's no benefit that comes from it. And it also makes it hard for us to worship when we're feeling down. So if we just think of all the negativity that can come from being sad and from worrying, we wouldn't want that for ourselves. We want to be more optimistic, and Allah wants us to be more optimistic. It's only the shaitan that is happy when we are sad and we're down and we feel out of place, or like Allah Azza wa Jalla doesn't mention sadness in the Quran unless it's mentioned for it to be to stay, for us to stay away from it, for us to stay away from sadness and from worry. And it only weakens us and weakens our heart, and it gives us a depressed mood, and it diminishes our motivation. So again, we have to, when we do feel those feelings, we have to sometimes physically even remove ourselves, and to stop consciously stop ourselves from having those thoughts after we've sat with them, after we've had them for a little bit, just not to dwell in them and not to hold on to them too much. And again, I said this before, but I'll say it again. Allah has already given us so much without us asking him to. And that's a lot to be optimistic for and to be hopeful for and to be grateful for. And that's why I said earlier to write things down that we're grateful for so that they can serve us as a reminder that Allah has not abandoned us through this trial. Isn't that something to be optimistic about? That Allah has always blessed us with ease in any hardship that we've faced. One of the greatest blessings of faith is the fact that everything Allah has decreed for the believer, whether it's ease or hardship, will be good for him. So if he experiences ease, he remains grateful and is rewarded. And if he experiences hardship, he remains patient and is also rewarded. So everything you may be facing at this time comes with its reward. And there's nothing that is pointless. It's all about what we make of it. It's how we perceive it. Optimism requires a lot of patience and determination and understanding. The Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, said, "Wondrous is the affairs of the believer. If he is granted goodness, he thanks Allah, and in that there is good for him. And if he is afflicted with a calamity, then he shows patience, and in that there is good for him." So this is basically like everything that happens to a believer, whether it's good or bad, there is reward in it, and there is something good that's coming from it. So from there, that itself gives us a feeling of optimism. Like there is, a feeling of, if I'm patient, Allah is going to reward me. That's something to look forward to. And if I'm rewarded and I'm grateful for it, Allah is going to give me reward for that. So I'm sorry, if I get something good and I'm grateful for it, Allah will reward me for that. So that it's a win-win situation for the believer. And there's another hadith that says, "I'm amazed by the believer. Verily, Allah does not decree anything for the believer except what is good for him." And so this means when Allah does not give the believer anything except what is good for him. I'm sorry, excuse me. So if Allah does not decree anything for the believer except what is good for him, then everything that we're faced with, or we're called upon to remain patient, everything that we're faced with, we're asked by Allah to remain patient and steadfast in our faith, and for that we will be given a reward. And in Surah Luqman, there's one more. In Surah Luqman, it says, "O my son, establish prayer and enjoin good and forbid evil, and be patient over what befalls you. Verily, those are matters requiring determination." So when we're patient, these hardships and calamities are all means to expiate our sins. So that's also so we understand now, if we do get challenged and we are challenged with any type of hardship, Allah is taking away our sins from this. And that's also a reason itself to be optimistic. So knowing that our Creator does everything to help us, His mercy is a reason for optimism. So looking at it from this standpoint, there is nothing that comes from Allah that is not good for us, or there is nothing that we are challenged with or a trial that we're faced with that is not good for us. And all this is a reason, yes, to be happy and to be optimistic, and especially in Allah. What I mentioned before about the greatest things that came from people who were in isolation, they were like and I'm not going to go into them into too many details, but the Prophet Yunus alayhi salam, when he was in isolation, and when he was swallowed by the whale and he was in isolation, great things happened for him. If he was not of the believers, like the ayah said, if he was not of the believers, he would have been in there until the day of judgment. And so he was a believer, and he made dua, and he did come away from that. Another one is Maryam alayhi salam, when she had to be isolated from her people and she gave birth to Isa alayhi salam. So these are just things that I want us to think about when we think of us being here in isolation. What good can come from us? Why should I be optimistic? Because some of the best things that have happened to people when they were isolated, when they were alone. It gives us a sense of a closeness to Allah. It connects us, if you may, to Allah Azza wa Jal in different ways. The Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, when he was imprisoned, when he was imprisoned falsely, and he was isolated or he was lonely. And what came out of that? There was good that came out of that as well. And if we look at Hajar with her child when she was left, the wife of Prophet Ibrahim, when she was left, and she was isolated, and look what came from that. So it's just the ideas. And I don't know if I mentioned Musa alayhi salam, but Prophet Musa was also isolated. So many prophets were isolated, and this is like a common theme, that goes on, that, people come out of isolation and they're closer to Allah. It's a time for us to purify our souls. It's a time for us to really go back to our Lords, to be able to focus on ourselves a little bit, instead of, focusing on the world around us, which consumes us so much. So instead of thinking I'm in isolation again, and I am, let this be, and I'm stuck here, and I'm not going to be able to do this. Let's shift our mindset. Let's shift our mindset to think optimistically about, what can I learn from this? What can I do for myself to come out of this? What benefit is this going to give me? How am I going to change myself? How am I going to renew my intentions for Ramadan? How am I going to, reset myself? It's time to change our bad habits. It's time to maybe look back into our lives about the things that we weren't so proud of. And it's time for us to really, renew our faith maybe, and renew our iman, and to really get closer to Allah Azza wa Jal, and to connect, and to find that connection, and to find the joy in that connection. I'm going to invite Shahinda to join us now. Shahinda, are you there? Assalamu alaikum.
Hi, I'm here. I'm going to turn on the video.
Yes.
Just give me one moment, please.
I see that it's on though, your video.
Sorry, I had people come in on me. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, Shahinda.
Thank you. I'm here mostly just to keep the conversation going, to ask some questions, if you don't mind. I do have some things that we could go into. We could talk about being optimistic depending on your age and your responsibilities, such as an adult, like let's say a mom being optimistic during this time versus a teenager versus her kids, what everybody's mindset could be and how it differs by responsibilities.
So a mom, especially if she has younger children, a mom's mindset during this time could be an optimistic one. But if it's not an optimistic one, and it's hard to get through, her daily responsibilities. Is she homeschooling? Is she not homeschooling? Is she working? Is she not working? With the different responsibilities that come, because what's happening now, Shahinda, a lot of people are having a lot more responsibilities than they did before. So if I was a working mom and I was able to drop my kids off at a daycare and then go on and do my job, now I have to not only, take care of my children, but I also probably have to do my job as well. Or if my children are school aged and I had to homeschool them, it might be hard for me to get into like the best or optimistic mood. So I think for parents is to keep focusing on the good things, to focus on, I'm getting to spend time with my children. I'm getting to know them. I'm getting to, I know nobody really, wants to be away from their kids, but, sometimes a little break, when they go to school is not so bad. So not having that break for yourself can really affect you. But something that would help the mindset is maybe taking some time for yourself. Okay, so being able to self-care, pretty much. So to do something for yourself that will make you feel better. So if you're not able to, get away from your kids, all day long, maybe choose an hour before they wake up, or an hour where somebody can watch them and you can self-care. And that's when, and to think more optimistic. Okay, once you self-care, you're able to take, you feel better about yourself, and you're able to start doing that mindset shift, where you're thinking, okay, I'm stuck, I'm here all alone, I have to do this work all by myself, to thinking, okay, I have to do these responsibilities, but I'm going to do something for myself as well. I'm going to take care of myself, or I'm going to do that facial that I wanted, or I'm going to, read that book that I wanted, or, whatever it is. as for teenagers, we talked a lot about the the mindset shifting that they can do, but another thing that they can do is really, trying to, maybe, I'm going to say get closer to their parents, but trying to communicate more with their family, with their parents, maybe about their feelings or what they're going through now. I know this is a very delicate time, for a lot of teenagers, because they're not, with their friends, but maybe communicating that to their parents, connecting with their parents, trying to see the needs of their parents, and maybe, trying to meet those needs and helping them out. So changing the shift from, it's all about, not that, the teenagers are like this, but maybe, focusing on themselves instead of focusing on themselves, try to change them, shift the mindset a little bit to focusing on others, or serving others, or doing things for others that might actually bring them pleasure at the end. I hope that answered your question.
It does. Very detailed. Thank you very much. I figured we could also talk about how we could better ourselves when we get out of the situation, such as stuff that you wanted to do before that you never really felt, I don't want to say the need, but really feel like the motivation to get into.
Okay, so you were motivated before to get into, but now you want to get into them? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Like, what's the best way, would you say, to get yourself more motivated to change for the better coming out of this experience?
Okay. What do you think? You have it?
Okay. Well, I always thought of, like what you said before, of making a list of things that you want to get done, and on a daily, just getting it done.
Mm-hmm.
But as for someone who, like, for me, as an example, I wanted to get back into going to the gym, try to get more physically healthy.
Yeah.
So I guess before all this went down, I used to work from like 9 a.m. to, let's say, like 7, 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's hard for me to say, well, I almost worked a 12-hour shift. I don't feel like doing anything. I feel like just going home, eating, preparing for the next day. So I guess my question is, like, how do you keep yourself motivated? Because right now I feel gross. Staying home all day, I want to get into going into the gym. I want to get into getting physically healthy for the summer. Would you have any advice?
So you're saying, how can I find the motivation to do the things that I may have wanted to do before, but to do them now in this time? Well, working out is it's something that requires a lot of determination, right? So it takes it's going to take you to be motivated to be able to get into a routine, maybe to do those exercises that you need to do. So there are some exercises that you can do at home, and maybe that's where you can start. You can start with something like, okay, I'm going to look up some videos about home exercises that I can do that don't require maybe a lot of equipment, or just maybe setting for yourself a tiny goal that will help you, like, every day, and build on that goal. So if my goal today is just to organize gym clothes, things that I'm going to wear, or just things I'm going to wear to work out with, okay, so I'm going to take those and I'm going to take them out and I'm going to put them on the side, and I might not get to working out today or to get to putting them on today, but I will take them out, I will choose them, I will choose those clothing, and I will set them aside. So the next day you could build on that a little bit. You can say, well, today I'm actually going to try them on. Let's see how, let's see how they fit. Maybe today I'll measure myself, or I'll weigh myself, or, something that goes on with whatever, your goals, your specific goals are. And then maybe the third day could be, well, I'm going to designate an area in my home where I'm going to work out. Okay, so it could be like really small goals that you can keep on building, that you can start building on a daily basis, that can help you reach that ultimate goal of, you working out. And the more that you set these little goals and you meet them, the more you'll become motivated to meet the bigger goals, because you're starting to achieve, and you feel that feeling of achieving. So that in itself creates motivation. So just, even, making those little steps until you get there. But, you have to start somewhere. It has to start somewhere. Maybe even looking up, one of your goals could be looking up like YouTube videos on exercises that you can do, or, writing down the exercises that you want to do, or printing it out, or doing something like this. Do you understand what I mean? So it's like, It's just setting those little goals, meeting them, and that would help you, that'll motivate you to actually take the next step.
Okay, so instead of like one huge step, it's more of breaking it down.
Well, it could be one huge step. It could be one huge step. If you're okay with that one huge step, but just sometimes it's hard to even get there. So I was talking about the people that it might be hard to get there. But if you're already there and you're going to do, you know, the workout, you maybe just, what, is it not motivated to do it on a daily basis, or?
It's more of, yeah, I would say that, just being lazy at the end of the day and not wanting to head to the gym, just wanting to head home instead.
Okay. So maybe, like I said, focusing on maybe workouts that you can do at home, or just maybe, you know, like saying to yourself, maybe 5 minutes before I go to sleep, if I can't make it to the gym right now, you know, or I don't know, some people, when they pay for their gym membership, they're more motivated to go because they paid for it. But other people, you know, it takes a lot more than that. Like, I paid for my gym membership, but I'm not gonna go. So maybe, you know, it'll take just getting into the routine of working out, period, whether it's at home or at the gym or wherever it is, but just getting into that mode of working out could be the start of a motivator for you to eventually, you know, work out of the gym full time or whatever.
Got you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Somebody did ask a question. Can you do a specific program for the youth and teenager who are doing online schooling, missing their friends?
Sure, I can, inshallah. We'll do that. Keep that. I'll put that on the list of topics that we would like to discuss. And you know, it's hard for the teens, especially if they're not able to connect with their friends, you know, via social media or any other ways, and you know, they're alone. It can get very lonely. But I do suggest not to lose contact with your friends during this time. To try to connect with them. Like I said, you know, find creative ways to be able to connect with your friends. It's a good time to, you know, to stay connected and not lose not lose that contact right now.
I think that actually kind of goes hand in hand with another question that was brought up. Am I a bad Muslim for being depressed during this time?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You know, just from the get-go, I'm a bad Muslim for being depressed. And absolutely not. You are not a bad Muslim for being depressed. Your feelings are your feelings, and nobody can tell you that they're wrong. So, you know, what is the definition of a bad Muslim and a good Muslim? It's really, you know, having a certain feeling is not, and I wasn't asking that to you know, to answer. I'm asking, like, for ourselves to think, what is the difference, or what is the definition between a bad Muslim and a good Muslim? And it really is, when it comes to feelings, Allah has given us these feelings, right? And anything that comes from Allah is not bad. So if we're feeling a feeling of depression, it just may be a you know, maybe an indicator for us to start changing something, or for us to start doing something. So if, you know, maybe we're not, it could be worship, it could just be our mindset, again, for shifting our mindset, for trying to help ourselves get through this difficult time. It could be thinking more optimistic thoughts. It could be that we need help. It could be that we need to see a specialist, or we need to seek medical attention, and that's okay. But for us to think that, you know, a feeling that we're having will make us a good or a bad Muslim, that's not how it works. Allah Azza wa Jal has, again, like, provided us with these feelings, such as happiness, sadness. So can I say, if I'm a happy person, am I not a good Muslim? Can I say that? No. So why would it be if I'm depressed, am I a bad Muslim? You know, I think that if we're not Islam, I think if we're measuring ourselves as a good or bad Muslim, we're measuring ourselves upon our worship, upon our level of worship. So for example, if I'm not making my prayers on time, I could say, I feel like a bad Muslim. And I'm probably, you know, not completely wrong for that. Like, I can, you know, benefit. It doesn't make me a bad Muslim, but I can improve myself. I can, you know, make my prayers on time. I can fast. I can do my worshiping better. But it's not the difference between a bad or a good Muslim. There is not, I don't like to do the bad and good. It's really about you, and you're a work in progress. So even when it comes to depression, yes, we can have hope and faith in Allah Azza wa Jal, and we need to have hope and faith in Allah Azza wa Jal, but there can be underlying conditions that go into depression that, you know, we can't just, you know, generally say, am I a bad person for being this, or am I a good person for being that? I hope that answers the question.
And I think if I could just add to that, I think it also kind of goes hand in hand in checking up with your friends, like the other question that we had. Sorry, give me a second. When we were talking about missing your friends and checking up on them, I feel as though if you do that, if you do talk to your friends, if you're checking up on friends and family, it helps you feel less lonely. You're connecting with other people, and it helps you, because depression comes from isolation, or one of the factors of depression can be isolation. So when you're talking to people, when you're putting yourself out there and checking up on other people, it does occupy your mind. It does put you out there.
Of course, connecting with people can definitely help you with those feelings of feeling down or feeling in a low mood. But I kind of, you know, go back into something like, well, how, you know, you are going to connect with your friends. You're going to talk to your friends for an hour or two. You can make yourself feel better. But it really does, it's something that really does take a lot more than that. It takes you have to change the way, and I'm not only talking about depression, but I'm talking about a low mood, you know, or like just checking in with your friends. But it has to start something within you. So I can talk to my friends, you know, for an hour or two, that will make me feel better. I can get up and do something different. I can, you know, instead of like maybe laying in bed all day, I can get up and take a walk, you know, be in nature, read maybe some Quran, or, you know, read a book that I'm interested in, talk to my parents, help out my siblings, or, you know, do something different that's not going to keep me in that low mood that I'm in. You know, so if you are experiencing that, if you know, like you said, again, you know, talking to your friends, connecting with your friends, that could be something. A lot of people, you know, seeing that a lot of people are going through what you're going through is very helpful. So, you know, that is something that you can do, but also we have to be mindful that if we feel that we need help, we need to seek help. And there are medical professionals who can help us with that. So it's not only, you know, just contacting our friends, but really identifying or realizing when we're in trouble and when we may need to seek assistance or help from somebody else, like an adult.
We did have another question, and I think it's kind of a 360 from what we were talking about before. And it said, how do I deal with feeling overwhelmed when I'm at home and my parents are fighting? And I think that kind of also goes hand in hand in people who's not used to being home, surrounded by their family all the time, and kind of feeling overwhelmed by it all. So on one hand, we have people who's like, we're telling them to get closer to your family, to get to know your family more.
But what if I have a bad relationship with family? Or a lot of it, like I said again before, we can go into self-care, and a lot of it is self-care. And what is self-care? What is taking care of myself? It's understanding my needs, okay, and doing what is good for me. So if you're in a situation where your family is arguing, for example, maybe the best thing for you at the time is to step away from that. You know, maybe the best thing for you at the time is to go to your room, or to go somewhere else where you're not exposed to that arguing or fighting. Sometimes that can be very helpful. And maybe doing something for yourself, like reading a book, for example, or just, you know, doing something that will take you away mentally from it, or watching your favorite show, or just something that will take you away from being involved or indulged in that conversation, or listening to it, you know, something that will get your mind off of it, or not let you hear it. So not self-isolation really, but just you know, just at those moments where these things are happening, to be able to step away from them for a little bit and realize that, you know, to do what's best for you. Does that answer your question?
I think that answers the question.
Excellent.
So just like keeping your own space, keeping a room that you could have all to yourself instead of having people constantly near you could also be beneficial as much as being with your family. That's sort of what you're saying, right?
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. A lot of people don't have the luxury of having their own space or their own room, so it might be just like taking a walk outside, or if you can, or just being maybe just grounding yourself back down. So it could be like a very overwhelming situation that's going on, and you need to do something to bring yourself back into your zone. It could be FaceTiming with your friend, or reaching out to an adult that you trust, that you can say, listen, I'm overwhelmed, this is what's happening. Or you don't even have to go into details of what's happening, but I'm overwhelmed, and I just need to talk to somebody. Or, hey, I just want to check up on you, or I just want to talk to you. A lot of the times that if you connect with somebody who's on your same or who has a more, I said this, like I was mentioning last week, if somebody who's more calmer, it can bring you back, like your nervous system can match theirs, and it can bring you into a calmer mode, and it could help you relax if you're feeling overwhelmed. So it could be a good way to connect. So it doesn't necessarily mean to just, again, like be in a room alone or anything. You could be around a lot of people, but you can be doing something different that's not making you so involved with what's happening or the situation that you're in.
Got you. I have a topic that's a little different. So 5 or 10 years from now, when we look back on this experience, what can you say is something that we could say that we learned from it, or that we could remember from this experience?
Well, I think that there's something that I was thinking about the other day, and how do we come out of this with like this situation, or when we look back at it 10 years from now, what are we going to think of this situation? Are we going to be traumatized by it? Are we going to be not able to move forward, and every time that it's brought up, it's going to bring us feelings of anxiety? One of the things that we can do to help us in the future right now is really to process our thoughts, to be gentle with ourselves, to be compassionate with ourselves. And when we process our thoughts, like for now, okay, I'm afraid, but I know that inshallah this will be over, and the feelings I have are I'm anxious, I'm scared, I'm uncertain about our future. To own your feelings, to own them, to understand them, to process them, to be compassionate with yourself, to be patient with yourself, so that when you look back at the situation 10 years from now, it's not going to bring you so much anxiety, but it'll bring you more of an understanding of, okay, I went through a difficult situation. Here I am. I came out of it. I'm fine. And what I learned from it is that I will go through difficult situations, but I have to be able to rely and trust myself and be patient with myself. So when you do go through a situation that's difficult in your life, because of course we will have, times of hardship, we will be able to have the skill sets that will help us get through them. So it's something that we can do now, that will affect us in the future, or that will benefit us in the future, if that makes sense.
Definitely. Also, as you were mentioning that, I was thinking about the students who was supposed to be graduating. For example, I was supposed to get my degree in like 2 months, but no big deal. We could always take this experience and say, like, I got my degree through an epidemic. I got my degree even though the world was in isolation and we were in quarantine. I still got my degree, and that goes hand in hand in keeping up with your work and being motivated to actually finish your schoolwork.
Yeah. It is that degree at the end, or that passing grade at the end, that even though like you said, even though I went through the hardship I went through, I was able to come out of it, and I was able to do well while I was in it.
Yeah.
And this is the proof.
Yeah. The degree that's going to come through the mail is going to be the proof. Like, it's okay. We got it. We're going to finish it up. Yeah. Just looking through the questions.
I am too. I'm going to go through them a little bit.
We had someone who asked, what can I do to curb my food cravings at home? I mean, it doesn't go really hand in hand with what we're talking about, but it's something to think about. It's
Well,
something
you can have a healthy distraction. So, if was your distraction, you can find another healthy distraction, like working out maybe, or
yeah.
doing some sit-ups, or food cravings. Sometimes it's because we're bored and or sometimes we're feeling down, and that's our comfort. This is what we find comfort in. But there are healthy distractions. Maybe taking a walk outside, or taking a shower, or doing something that's not going to harm us. And eventually, like if we're eating a lot of junk food, that can be harmful for our health. It can be harmful for our bodies, and we don't want to do anything that's going to cause us harm. So finding another distraction, finding something else that's going to doing a puzzle, I don't know, like something that's not going to cause us any harm, it would be considered a healthy distraction.
So just keeping yourself busy.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like a lot of times when we're out, and part of our culture is eating. We like to eat. We're people who like to eat. But if if we're out and we're doing something, a lot of times, like if you're playing a sport, for example, are you thinking about what am I going to eat right now? No, you're thinking about that sport, or you're thinking about what it is that you're doing at that moment. So if you're doing the same thing and you're distracting yourself from eating, sometimes we eat because, like I said again, we're bored. So instead of being bored and just eating, like maybe do something that's not going to keep on reminding you that, oh yeah, let me munch on that snack that's in the cupboard, or let me, it's not gonna, you're gonna keep busy. You're gonna be doing other things that are gonna keep you from thinking of that.
True. Someone said good point. I feel like we're all going to come out of this a little overweight. I feel that. I'm eating a lot.
We have the power. We have the power to control that.
Yeah. And it's just like Ramadan that's coming up. Inshallah, we're going to, hopefully we're not going to still be isolated. But if we are, this is kind of like a good practice on willpower and trying to hold yourself back.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly, because that's what Ramadan is all about, right? Is having some self-control.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be fasting soon, so I don't think that a lot of people do fast, and at the end of the day they just like let go, and they're eating everything that they missed out during the day, and their weight doesn't change or anything like that. But it's it is an act of discipline. It really is discipline.
And that willpower doesn't just have to be focused on in Ramadan. We could focus on it throughout the year.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is kind of good practice while we have it.
Yeah. Like I said before, we can maybe start to, even fast Mondays and Thursdays in preparation of Ramadan, and like to get us ready for that. And, that can help us. A lot of it is about discipline. Even like when you're saying, how can I curb my food craving? It really is. It's about discipline. It's about self-control. And, it's something that we can control, what we put in our bodies, right?
Mm-hmm. Good point. Just kind of looking through any questions that we might still have.
I see one here, yeah.
I think we got them down, unless there's anything new.
Yeah. No, I don't see anything. I was looking at the one about the talk for the teenagers. I thought that was a new question. Okay. So how about you, Shahinda? Are you having any struggles through this isolation? How are you dealing with that?
Spending too much time with my family. No, alhamdulillah, it's all okay. I'm focusing on school whenever I'm bored. I'm ahead of what is supposed to be done.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, I asked. One of the problems I had before was everything, all my homework, all the work that we had assigned was locked, whatever was due for the next week.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to ask the professor, I'm not doing anything. I'd rather finish my work early. Just in preparation for, inshallah, when we're out of this, I could be free. I don't have to worry about finals. I don't have to worry about schoolwork. I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff.
So you're ahead of your game.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you. What about you? What are you occupying your day with?
Well, I have a family. I have 3 children, and they take up a lot of my time. But it's just trying to practice those things like self-care and really thinking about what I can change while I'm here. What I can do differently. Because some of the things that I've really wanted to do, they require a lot of time. So it's like maybe little projects in the house here and there that I haven't been able to get around to. So I'm focusing on changing those things. But it's always good to spend time with your family like you're doing. I'm sure that you have that there are a lot of good things that are coming out of that. Do you feel like there are good things coming out of that, or?
Yeah, there definitely is. I'm learning how to cook. That's kind of cool. I wasn't really wanting to want to cook, but now I'm kind of forced into the kitchen a lot more. So I'm learning how to cook. I like it. I'm more of just I need everything organized before I work. Okay. I need everything like really clean, and then I kind of get to it, and then I clean up after myself. So when you live with a big family, it's kind of hard to keep it clean at all times. But I'm like, it's something that I wanted to do, and I'm kind of going into it. Somebody asked if you provide therapy, by the way.
I can type that answer in, and I can I'll answer that here.
But that's really how I'm spending my day, is just like schoolwork and learning how to cook. I do know how to cook just regular Western way, I would say. But because I guess I'm first generation American, my parents came from Egypt, I don't have much experience actually cooking Arab food. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah. Okay. Because one day, I want to make macaroni bechamel myself. I want to make it myself. So I'm kind of getting into that. That's my goal by the end of this.
Maybe one day soon, inshallah, maybe we'll be able to taste it.
Inshallah, I'm gonna bring you a plate. Don't worry, I'm bringing this up plate. But it's like a good time to think about what we're gonna do when we come out of this. Like for the Gamma, for example, what is the youth program gonna be doing? What is family night and kids night? Like, what can we do to kind of bring up the hype again?
What would you like to see happening? I said, what would you like to see happening in these types of programs?
Well, I think because personally, I've been getting a lot of people from the mosque messaging me, like asking how we're doing. People that I didn't really talk to that much. I feel this whole experience is kind of bringing us emotionally together. Yeah. So I feel like when we start being able to go out again, I'm going to be able to see those people at the mosque. I'll be able to.
You're feeling that this experience actually connected you guys.
Yes.
Okay, and that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing. So are you talking to people that you may have not have talked to before?
It's more of like we didn't talk to each other a lot.
Okay.
But now, because we're checking up on each other, we're talking to each other more than what we used to. Yeah. So I feel like once everything gets back to normal, we're going to be able to see each other a lot more. People who didn't really mess with the mosque too often, we'll be able to see them a lot more than we did before, inshallah.
Inshallah. So does this make you maybe... So is that your point of maybe being grateful? Is that you are realizing now the connection that you had with these people, and something that we may have not have taken, really understood, or we're really grateful before. Maybe we took a little for granted.
Yeah, definitely. I feel though the people that I was able to talk to before, I would only talk to while we were together. But this really brought to light the fact that we should be checking up on each other on a daily anyway. We should try to get as close as we can to each other, because we're people and we need that. We need people checking up on us, and we need to be checking up on other people. You can't wait until people just give you attention. It's the back and forth of a conversation that we all need.
The mutual relationship. Yeah. Okay. I understand. So it's really, I like that you brought that up, what's going to happen with these youth programs that are, that are going on. Are we going to pick up on them? Are we going to, and that's something to look forward to. That's something to really think about. And maybe, maybe that can be your something to focus on if you feel like there is, nothing to do, or I know you're doing a lot of schoolwork, but that can be something for the community or who's ever listening, for the youth who are listening. Maybe you can think of, topics that you'd like to see, or ways to connect. Maybe when, inshallah, we come out of this, like a camp or a program or something that you would like to see happening at your, at the Bergen County Islamic Center. And, and maybe suggesting it to people who are in charge so that they can hopefully make it happen, inshallah, when we come out of this.
Inshallah. Yeah, I was talking to some people about what we're gonna do. Just like for me personally, I feel like one of the things that helped me get through this is thinking about what I'm gonna do when we're back in rotation. Stuff that we could look forward to. For the youth program, I was talking to some people about activities that we could do. Last year we went hiking on Bear Mountain, I think. We figured today we could do it again. This year we could do it again in the summer, inshallah. What we could do for Earth Day, there was an idea that we would go to a park and we would clean up the litter, and we would kind of, maybe do a barbecue and just be out there. So inshallah, that's some stuff that we could look forward to, just ideas of stuff that we could do to bring us all together to get connected again.
Inshallah, that's a lot to look forward to. And it definitely does help with, sometimes when we don't have anything to look forward to, it brings us down, or we think we don't have anything to look forward to. But when we actually say it, when we verbalize it, when we say this is what we're planning on doing, or this is what we want to do, it really makes it real. It makes it become real. And inshallah, I pray that this is something that we will be able to do together and move forward with. Because it really does give, even me, it gives me something to look forward to. I look forward to meeting with you all and to meeting everyone else, inshallah.
Inshallah. You're going to be part of the mosque coming up, inshallah.
Yes.
Yeah. You could come hiking with us.
I would love
it. With us. Let's do it. Yeah, and it's something that even like my friends who are not Muslim, just checking up on them and saying like, when we're out of this, first thing we're going to do is go to Texas Roadhouse. We're going to go out and we're going to grab dinner and we're going to just do whatever we normally do. Just something to help you look forward to the time ahead instead of worrying about what's...
That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
To check up on everyone, whether they're your Muslim friends, they're your non-Muslim friends. It's even part of maybe a da'wah for you to, connect to these people, and you don't know who's feeling down or who's feeling what. So it may be, it may be beneficial for you to be able to contact them or to, to help them look forward to something. Yes.
I think that's just really important, whether you're Muslim or not, just keeping connected to people. I feel like that's a responsibility to stay connected and check for people's well-beings.
And checking up on them. Yeah, like you said, checking up on them and, even making sure that they're okay. That's something that, is very important. For you too. Not only for them, but for you too.
Just looking at the questions, I'm not sure if
I think we're meeting our time. We're coming close to the end of our session.
True. Forgot about that.
Yeah. I think we have to keep it around an hour, but inshallah, we will get together again next Saturday. And our topic is not chosen yet, but inshallah, at the same time, we will be meeting here. So I'd like to, do you have anything else that you'd like to add, Shahinda?
No, I think we covered everything I had.
Okay, it was great being on here with you. It was great chatting with you.
It was nice talking to you too.
Can't wait to meet you in person, inshallah.
Inshallah, we're gonna go hiking. I already planned it in my mind. We're gonna do this.
Absolutely. Inshallah. So I say subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum.